My name is Ian Hosbien. I'm a Forestry Assistant II here in Sonoma-Lake-Napa unit, and today we're out collecting our fuel moisture samples, which we do every month. So we go out and collect fuel moisture samples, and we use those throughout the year to track and analyze fuel moisture data. So that's important to track and analyze because low fuel moistures lead to increased fire severity. And this is data that we've been tracking for multiple years now. So in this unit, at least, we have thresholds that we have. So if the fuel moisture drops below a certain point, that's kind of an indicator that fire severity could increase should a fire start. And this data could be valuable when it comes to making future predictions, even used as far as budget allocation potentially, and fire severity. And it's also good to inform the public about what to expect. So when we go out, we have our jars. We have 3 jars per location, 4 locations total for a total of 12 jars. What we do is we weigh these jars before we go out, get our dry weight or our empty weight. We then record what that is. We go out, we collect our sample, fill these jars up relatively full, pretty dense, not too dense. Then we go back to the office, we put these in our fuel sample drying oven. We dry them for about 12 hours, usually a little bit more. We then come back, weigh the samples again in the jar, and then we get the difference of that of the weights. So we subtract out the weight of the jar because that's not something that we're concerned with. And then we have our dry and our wet weights, and the difference of those is the moisture loss. And we use that moisture loss to calculate the percent moisture content. And from that, we distribute that information to the unit, and the unit can make proper fire plans based on that information. We can also have add to our historical data that we have going back. So when we go out, we pick it randomly. It's important that you don't pick the same bush every time, but you want to go to the same location every time. So we go out, we pick it randomly, and we just take snips off of these bushes along the road throughout all of our locations. It's quite simple, but it's very important. So we sample at Las Posadas State Forest. Right now we're at Walker Ridge here in Colusa County. And we also sample at Canocti in Lake County and Geysers Peak in Sonoma County. So those are our 4 different sampling locations. That gives us a relatively good indication of what the unit looks like. We collect just Chemise. It's important to keep your collection species consistent throughout because different species will react differently to atmospheric and soil moistures. So other units may collect different species. Here in Sonoma-Lake-Napa, we collect Chemise. It's a species that's found throughout the unit, and it's a relatively small shrub, and it reacts pretty quickly to fuel moistures, which allows us to get a pretty indicative reading of what the moistures are like throughout the unit at that given time. Some other units collect different species. They might collect manzanita or something. These smaller ones are nice because they'll respond faster to moisture changes. So it gives a more accurate representation of what it is, kind of in a shorter time frame. Something like a big tree doesn't react very quickly, and you can't dry out that wood very quickly either. Yeah, when this chemise gets really dry, the oil concentration goes way up, and it'll burn like nothing.